We are just 1 week away from the start of the high school football season. We're here tonight to preview some of the best teams in the area. And you can't have great teams without great players. We will also showcase some of the players to keep an eye on this season.
The Locker Room on Fox 14.
Welcome into the Locker Room preview show, something that was a little bit of your dream child, actually 2 years ago. So 3 years now of the preview show. Cale Steed of Press Pass Sports. Always excited to have Cale Steed on with us. Always excited to have Press Pass Sports with us as well. This is a fun show. We're a week away from games and everything's going to be rolling. But let's talk about some of the teams that could get us to a state championship, because we're on a little bit of a drought, Cale.
Yeah, 2021, our last time. First off, thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, but go ahead, Clint. Let's fire away. I'm excited to talk. I'm always excited to talk football. So let's.
Yeah. So let's dive into it, and we're going to start at the top of our classifications, if you will. Let's talk about Amarillo High and what they bring to the field this season.
8 years of Chad Dunham, and you've been to practice. I've been to practice. I think this is the best looking Amarillo High team we've seen.
Agreed.
They're huge up front. They're averaging about 290 on the offensive line. You got Drew Dunham in the backfield. You have Oliver Parsons on the outside. Then there's the guy that makes them go in Jet Lopez. So they have everything on offense. Now, what do they have on defense? That's the question. They're older. They gave up a lot of points last season. That's where they're going to have to be really good when they get in the first, second rounds in the playoffs, and they want to go farther. That defense, that's the question.
And it's something that Chad Dunham wants to hang his hat on, is defense. It's something that he loves.
He's a defensive guy,
he is.
especially.
And Jet Lopez, single season passing leader, right, at Amarillo High, threw for over 3,000 yards last year. I know they're excited to have him back. What about their district rival, the Tascosa Rebels?
This is an unfamiliar Tascosa team than years past. We used to could reel off about 15 names.
Agreed.
Now that you got Crush Johnson, we know about him, the Texas Tech commit. We know about Colton Fulton, but what surrounds them? There's Reese Cave at running back, but there's not that power fullback that always makes that offense just thrive. Who do they have on defense besides Crush? I think we'll see some names come in, but Ken Plunk team is always solid, always good. They have numbers. I think they're a team also that's going to compete in that district with Abilene High and Amarillo High. But again, what do they have to do? What's going to be the key there offensively, defensively, especially on special teams, to get past that second round, third round?
I was going to say, that they're always bookmarked into the playoffs. They're always bookmarked into the second round of the playoffs. Can they get enough now, momentum, to get themselves a little deeper than they've been the last couple of seasons? Another AISD squad, but 5A Division II, Palo Duro Dons. Now, we can reel off some names for these guys that have been around for a little while now. How about those Palo Duro Dons?
Yeah, Barrick Mam's building a program, and this program is finally seeing the, what do you call it? They are finally seeing the fruits of the labor that has been building in this. And it starts with Darian Lewis. It starts with Julian Reese II, or better known as Deuce. You got Vern Blair, who I love is Kamiji Barnes. I think Kamiji Barnes, how do we say it? At linebacker, 176 tackles last year. This is the year, though, man. I think we've all been waiting for this PD team. A lot of people have them picked third and fourth in district because it's so loaded with Lubbock Cooper and Memorial. But, man, what is it good? They look better offensively. To me, up front, they looked a lot better against West Plains, though, when they had their scrimmage. I'm excited about this Dons team. Week one, I wouldn't put a whole lot of stake in that week one game against Tascosa. Let's see how the season plays out and wait for district. But I'm excited to see
a team that swept all the other AISD teams last year. They were the city champions. We'll see what shakes out there this year. But again, they have even bigger goals than just that. One of the teams that a lot of teams in the state are going to be looking at, because they put people on notice last year. They have a 4-year returning quarterback, the West Plains Wolves.
The standard is Reed Macon, right? But there's so much expectation on this team. Can they handle it? I think they do. It's so rare in a program at the 4A level that these guys have all played 40 games. A lot of these guys are 4-year players. That's rare, but they had to. They were thrown in there as freshmen, and there's not just one of them. And I think what gets lost in them, with all the skill guys they have, is that offensive line. And yes, Keegan Collins is their guy, but there's so many dudes around that circles Keegan Collins. They are so good up front, and it creates holes for Slade Russell, and it creates for Reed Macon. But this is a complete football team. But again, it's going to come down to, can they manage expectations? Because people already have them built in the Jerry World or Salina in that semifinal.
Yep. And that's where they got last year, to the semifinals.
Yeah, exactly.
Can they get over that hump and get there? What about their district foe, the Randall Raiders.
Another unfamiliar year for the Randall Raiders. We know about Case Benton, but they lost Dylan Ray. I think that's a bigger loss than we think. So the running back position is a very questionable spot for them. Draven Patton's back at linebacker. Taron Combs is on the outside. But again, the question marks is who steps up this year for Randall? They're a very unknown team to us right now. So it's going to take us a few weeks to figure out who this Randall team is.
And a Dan Sherwood team that likes to run the football.
They love to
Dylan
run the
Ray
football.
at times last year would
Take
be
over
the
games.
offense,
Yep.
be 200 yards plus in a game. And so how do they fill that role is a big one. And Dumas, it's kind of same song and dance a little bit as you just talked about with Randall. We know what's at quarterback with Colton Mills. He also set the single season passing record. What surrounds him?
The good thing about Dumas is that nobody works harder, I think, in the summer than the Dumas Demons. They're so good at 7-on-7. They're so good at keeping their kids home in the summers. They're so good up front on the offensive and defensive line, and they're massive up front. And they do such a great job in the weight room. Aaron Dunham does. Year 8 for him as well. I think that you can work so much around the trenches, and then that will create stars on the outside because that gives Colton Mills so much time to work and deliver.
A loaded quarterback class in that district
goodness.
for sure.
Oh.
How about the Canadian Wildcats, a team that made a lot of trips to Jerry's World? They're like everybody else in the Texas Panhandle, a little slump of getting there. What do you like about this team?
You know, there's 11 guys. The first 11 can play. The depth, we don't know what's behind them. They lost a couple of kids last year to transfers. The Bryant brothers, they transferred to Stinnett. That was a big loss, but still, I think they upgraded in quarterback when it comes to Weston Mitchell. Slayton Dickinson's back. They're very good up front. Another team, and you can work with that, especially at the small school level. Riggs Pennington right there, as you see in the video. This kid's great at the end, great tight end. So the 11 they have can play. Now, what's behind them? I don't know. That's the question. But again, it's Canadian. Maybe the best coach team in the Panhandle.
And possibly their last year in 3A Division II for a while. That'll be a huge change if that happens next year. How about Groover, one of the last teams standing from last year? They're bringing a lot back.
They are. So is Munster. In Region 2, so that's scary. But yes, a year they lost their big men, so they're going to have to find linemen. But that the skill, this is a team that is full of skill. Briggs Satterfield, Mason Langford, Nick Shepard, Victor Flores at linebacker. So the skill is loaded. This is a new year, though. What I loved about Groover is last year was last year. This is this year. This team hasn't accomplished anything. I love that attitude. So let's go out there and see what this team can do. This is a new football team.
Panhandle Panthers bringing back one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the class of 2A in Broxton Robinson. Talk about the Panthers.
This is a team, to me, Clint, and I think you'll agree that it's due. And when I say due, they're due for a run, a December run. This is a team that's been knocked out by a state champion the last 2 or 3 years in the second round. They're loaded. This is as good. They're as big up front as they have ever been. They got a bell cow in Broxton Robinson. This is a year that regional finals comes calling to me.
I like it. I like the prediction. I think they're going to be very good. I think that district is going to be ran through them. Stratford, it's going to be a little different look without Bryce Braden. Now they do return a starting quarterback that played a lot for Bryce Braden.
Chase Lanamy.
Yes, he dealt with some injuries over the last couple of years, so he's got some experience coming back there, but you do lose your heart and soul on both sides of the ball.
Do you realize Bryce Braden's the last guy from the Texas Panhandle to play at Jerry World?
That's crazy.
That is crazy. He was the MVP, the defensive MVP as a freshman.
Yeah.
You and I were there. Stratford Groover, that's the game in that district. It's Stratford Groover. That's probably going to be the team in the regions. We're just going to have to see how it plays out for Stratford. I think they're so good at tight end. Three guys that could play tight end. I think they'll be a little better than people give them credit for. Darius Jones, a name to keep an eye on. Drew Jones' little brother.
Absolutely. Kel, we appreciate it. That's some of the teams to look at. Now we're going to switch gears. We're going to bring in two other members of the locker room. Corin Davis, Max Preston, they're ahead with our players to watch on the High Plains.
From Fox 14 News, The Locker Room continues.
Welcome back to the Locker Room Preview Show. We're pumped up for the 2025 season. We just talked about the teams to watch in the area this year, but now we're going to talk about the players that will be in the spotlight and most likely stand out, Corin.
Yes, Max, and it was hard for us to narrow it down to just a few because there are so many talented athletes that we are going to get to watch. We had the hardest time figuring out what the list was. But we are going to kick things off with none other than Groover's starting quarterback, Briggs Satterfield. And I love talking about a dual threat quarterback, and that's exactly what he brings to Groover. Last season, he threw for 2,935 yards and rushed for 985 yards. And let me tell you guys, since he took that starting role as a sophomore, this kid has almost been perfect. He's 24-4 in 28 starts. When I went and chatted with him this summer, it almost looked like he was channeling his inner Quinn Ewers. I kind of wish we had a side-by-side so you guys could see what I'm talking about. He looks just like him. But I know Satterfield's excited to bring back weapons and experience in this offense to be able to capitalize on that. Like Cale mentioned earlier, they're leaving the success they had in 2024, but they are keeping everything. But we're going to head over to Panhandle.
Yeah, speaking of dual threat quarterbacks, if you don't know the name by now, get ready to learn it. Broxton Robinson, one of the most talented dual threat quarterbacks you can find in the area. He's thrown for 4,442 yards and rushed for 2,772 yards in his career. He's also combined for 101 touchdowns and 183 tackles on defense. He told me in his QB1 interview he wants to go for 2,000 yards passing and rushing this year.
I like the precision.
I believe that he can do it without
Easily.
a doubt. Behind this offensive line, I saw on a roster it includes a kid that is 6'7", 300 pounds, one at 6'5", 290, and another one at 6'1", 260. Big time size. Let's go to Bushland now. Wide receiver and defensive back Jenner King provides important experience on both sides of the ball. He went for 537 yards and 5 touchdowns last year. I expect him to do even better this year. Along with him is offensive and defensive lineman Jackson Lawler. He's got size at 6'4" and 250 pounds. He also has Division I offers as a junior. So look for him to make some noise on both sides of the line this year.
Now, just like the rest of the Wolfpack, Kane White-Tinsley, UTEP commit, is on the prowl this season. We've watched him thrive on both sides of the ball during his time at West Plains as a wide receiver and a DB. Last season, he caught 64 passes for 1,064 yards with 12 touchdowns. So it's safe to say he's one of Reed Macon's biggest outlets in this offense, right?
Absolutely.
But he's also instinctive on defense, had 55 tackles and 9 interceptions. It's always a track meet when Kane White-Tinsley is on the football field. But we also can't forget about the pass protection, because West Plains has some of the best pass protection in K-State commit Keegan Collins.
Absolutely. Moving on to Jet Lopez now. Corin, you got a lot of numbers on Jet as well.
Amarillo High is sure to have an explosive offense this season, just like they did last year. Jet Lopez can sling the ball. He threw for 3,007 yards last season, and this offense also averaged 42 points per game. Every coach's dream, and Amarillo High's dream, is also coming true, because he's not the only playmaker returning to this roster.
No, he's not. If Jet's not passing, Corin, then running back Jude Donovan is ready to do work on the ground after going for 1,214 yards and 11 touchdowns last year. The Sandys will be set in the passing and running game. Over at Paladuro, how about Darian All-Day Lewis going to North Carolina to play for Bill Belichick after making his commitment this summer. Now he can focus on his senior season with the Dons. Last season he scored 15 touchdowns. He was all over the field on offense and defense. He's kind of like the Spice Adams meme. I play quarterback, running back, offensive and defensive line, punt returning.
So
you know
basically,
what I mean?
he's him.
Just every day, he's him. But no, in all seriousness, the Dons are ready. He's going to lead the Dons, and they might make a deep playoff run this year. Who knows? We'll see.
For the third year leading the Tascosa Rebels under center is none other than Colton Fulton, coming off of an injury last year. He has experience, he has maturity, he also has perspective. He complements this triple option offense, or the Coach Plunk special is what I like to call it, really well. Last season he rushed for 1,106 yards. He also has a stacked backfield that will be dynamite. Now, the leader of this D-line, you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Crush Johnson, Texas Tech commit. I swear his parents knew he was going to be a legend before he even took his first breath. Last season he was a menace on the football field, had 40 tackles. He stands at 6'5", 280, and his one goal this season is to get to the quarterback. I haven't seen a whole lot of intensity in players' eyes the way that I saw it in his. He is going to lay out some quarterbacks this season.
Oh,
So
no
Tascosa's
question.
opponent, you need to
fun to
scout him
watch.
well.
No doubt about it. We're pumped up.
We
pumped
are.
up for kickoff. No doubt about it. The first week of games can't get here quick enough. Now, some of you may be wondering why we left one certain player off our list. Corn, we're going to have more about that after the break.
All right, we've looked at some of the best players in the area, and don't think that we forgot this guy right here. We're saving one of the best for last, Corin. Who we got here?
It's Mr. West Plains himself. You see him shine on the football field, the basketball court, the baseball field, on the track, but you would never know it by the way he carries himself. A talented athlete with a humble spirit. And I had the opportunity to sit down with Reed ahead of his final football season at West Plains. It's safe to say you've been part of many firsts in your time here at West Plains. You're the first long-standing quarterback here. You threw the first touchdown pass in Wolfpack football history, but now you are embarking on a season of lasts. When you look at it from that perspective, how does it feel to be here?
It's definitely super special, you know. It's kind of like being here with like all the guys I grew up playing with, especially from like the freshman year, but everything was new. Everybody was new. And then kind of as we grew up, we got older, we matured, we realized that like, hey, we got a shot at doing something pretty special here, especially being that it's a 4-year program. So I don't know, it's cool, it's surreal in a way.
Let's go back to that one day in August of 2022, West Plains' inaugural football game, where you took the field for the first time as West Plains quarterback as a freshman. That was arguably the biggest game of the season. Do you remember what you were feeling or what was going through your mind at that point?
I feel like I was definitely really, really nervous. You know, like palms sweaty, hands were shaking. It was definitely like a welcome to varsity moment, you know? Like that's what every kid's dream is to play varsity football. And being it so early, it was pretty, it was scary. Everybody's bigger, faster, stronger than I am. I wasn't used to anything, and it was a special moment. Everything's been pretty special, but that moment in particular is a huge, big moment.
A lot of people predicted that West Plains would win maybe 1 or 2 games that season. You guys made it to playoffs. You had a winning record. And that proving people wrong mentality has been the theme over the past 3 seasons. How have you been able to not let the noise tell your story for you?
It's just my dad and I always talk about just like let the game play itself, you know, just go play the game. You don't have to do anything extra. I think that's kind of big, and like this program for sure is that like Coach Cummings always talks about like 1% better, doing the little things right, full benefit mindset. And it's just all those little details to make good teams great is kind of what we focus on here at West Plains. And I think just like as seasons progress, we each like it's 1% better. You know, it's 365% better every single year. And I think eventually like we'll get to that point where like we're great.
I can tell you don't like to brag about yourself. You're a very humble guy, so I'm going to brag for you. Last season, you threw for 3,528 yards with 36 touchdowns. You were district MVP, Dave Campbell's Player of the Week, Panhandle Sports Hall of Fame Football Player of the Year. What do you credit that success to?
First and foremost, it definitely goes to God. Without him, nothing's possible. And without his ability to make everything happen, we couldn't be where we are today. Also, the credit goes to the coaching staff, and then like they do a great job at putting a game plan out and making the best of our ability to be successful for sure. And then my teammates, you know, and it's also a big credit to them because that's the list of accolades that you said weren't necessarily mine. They were like my teammates, you know, all the touchdowns are the O-line's touchdowns. They're all the receivers' touchdowns. Slade in the backfield, like it's not just me that wins games, it's for sure, like it's definitely a team.
You're going into your senior season. Knowing what you do now, what would you tell that freshman who stepped out onto the football field as West Plains quarterback on that day in 2022?
I think I'd tell myself just to relax, not to worry about the things that I can't control, and to focus on the little details that life brings ahead of you. And just from a football standpoint, it's just like take every moment in. You know, it has flown by. Everybody says that high school flies by. I didn't really believe it as a freshman, but I definitely believe it now. And just like cherish every moment for sure.
Now, one of the things that I think stood out when we both talked to him during that interview is he's just such a humble kid, so good
Class
on the
act.
field, but so great off of it as well.
Yes, we also talked about that state semifinal loss to Salina.
Yeah.
It's still at the forefront of their mind. It's what fueled them in the offseason. It's what will fuel them this season. They want to make it to state. They want to make history, as they already have,
Yep.
but they want to finish their year in Dallas.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be really nice.
That would
Or
be-
in Arlington.
Yeah,
Same thing,
yeah,
right?
There
Jerry
you go.
Wolf.
I know that they have that game circled, but they got a lot more to go before they can get to that point. We have some games circled as well. We're going to take a look at some of the best games we're looking forward to after the break. Keep it here. Welcome back. We've talked about teams, players. How about games? We're going to quickly go through a couple games we're looking forward to. Max?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious which one I'm going to mention. Tasco, Amarillo High. Everyone gets up for
Hey
that
now,
game.
hey now.
I mean, we don't. Let's not start fighting now. Everyone gets up for that one. You know, you got bragging rights in that one. It's the biggest rivalry in the area. Obviously, I got to mention that one. We're looking forward to that one.
Corin?
My eyes are on week 4. West Plains, Bushland. We all know that the Wolves have yet to beat the Falcons since they've become a program. But if they're going to be able to get over the hump, it's going to be this year. I have full confidence in them. It's at Happy State Bank Stadium. That atmosphere is always electric and rocking. So should be an exciting matchup.
A game that Kel and I mentioned, Groover Stratford. This one could be for the district title. Two of the toughest teams in the entire area going up against each other and should decide that district championship. I'm always looking forward to Groover and Stratford. Kel, you got one?
Yeah, August 28th, PD Tascosa, because the chili dogs.
That's Kel's
Chili
priority.
dogs. That's what I'm looking at.
Now, is Lee Baker going to be there to get
Oh,
his?
yeah, you're 43. 43 for the
There we
chili
go.
dogs, man.
Thank you for joining us. Kel Steed, Press Pass Sports, the Locker Room crew, thank you.